Welcome back to Rackspace Live, everyone. So glad that you're here. Let's turn that music down. Why don't we? Hey, everyone. Glad to be with you here. Middle of the day. Gosh, Monday, we're here at 10:30. Yesterday, regular 8:30. Now 12:30. It's like time schizophrenia. Who knows what's going on? But I'm glad you're here. Hey, everyone. My name is Jeff DeVerter. I'm the Chief Technology Evangelist here at Rackspace Technology. And we're here with the Rackspace Live. Guys, we're going to get into all things AWS MAP, the MAP program, the Migration Assistance Program, as well as so much more about what Rackspace is doing to help the world transform. Hey, my Mayur is here. He already knows what they're supposed to do. You're supposed to introduce yourself, folks, down in the comments. You know where you are, whether you're LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitter. Love for you to introduce yourself. Tell me who you are. Tell me where you are. Now, very shortly, I'm going to bring up a couple of guests to help have our conversation today. But before we get into that, what I do want to do first is talk to you a little bit about an article that I read, and that article talks about the ABCs of cloud migration. Now, this is a really interesting article. It was actually written by a friend of mine who I used to work with at another provider, and he's gone on to do some really cool things. And one of the reasons I like this article is it really breaks down the whole concept relatively simply. I'm going to send this link over to producer Daniel so he can send it to you here shortly. We'll put it out in the chat. But the ABCs of cloud migration really takes an ABC based approach. And A stands for automation, understanding your app dependencies in an automated way, understanding and assessing the technology feasibility, as well as weighing up, whether you're what's running on-prem versus what's going out into the cloud and how those costs compare. You got to go into this with eyes wide open. B for the ABCs of cloud migration is about business empowerment. It should always be about your business, about where that is coming, where that transformation is coming from, and the reason to do it. We all as technologists love the shiny tech, but you don't want to go out this move just because there's some cool tech. There needs to be business impact. Now, also, I went too far. That's A and that's B. Well, the C takes us down to communication. All cloud migrations really need to go in again with eyes wide open from what do you have and what's the expense going to be? What's that business impact going to be? And then communication is the C part of that, folks. And you need to focus that on all three areas, whether it's C-suite, whether that's the management layer, or even down into the end users. They all need to know what is occurring and what's going on. All right, Mohammed, I'm glad that you're here. And yes, we are always ahead here at Rackspace on the innovation timeline. You are 100% right. Thanks for catching that. Hey, well, I want to get in and get our guests in here because we have some stuff to talk about. We were chatting a little before we went live. I think you're going to really enjoy what we have to share here. And it starts with, I'm going to bring in a minute, Chris Norwood. Chris works for Rackspace. He is in charge of all things AWS and the partnership that exists there. Here between Rackspace and AWS, and leads our efforts with MAP. But I'm also going to bring in, a one-time Racker, but now as somebody who's over at AWS, and he's on the other side of the equation, on the partner side, helping enable not just Rackspace to do more with AWS. Remember, our goal here is always about how do we help customers transform to be able to do more for their business through the power that exists, in this case, with AWS. All right, enough of me bantering on Daniel. Let's get these guys up here and start our conversation. There they are, my twinsies sitting in the same office at Rackspace right now. Chris, Sunny, I'm so glad that you're both here.
Hey, Jeff, how are you doing? And we're excited. We could talk MAP all day, any day.
I love it. Sunny, when did you leave Rackspace and how long were you here?
I was at Rackspace for 3 years, probably the most important stop in my career, and learned so much here about cloud and got to work with awesome leaders like yourself and had the opportunity to launch our AWS practice way back at AWS reInvent conference back in 2015. So 7 years ago.
Rackspace has been doing that for 7 years now. That's incredible.
Yes. And you are our #1 partner in terms of multiple metrics across the globe.
I love that so much. I love being #1. So let's dig into that. So, we're here, of course, our title of this thing is, oh, snap, it's MAP. But what is MAP? Let's define that as a program.
MAP is Migration Acceleration Program. That is what the acronym MAP stands for.
Okay.
It has been one of the most successful programs in my 11 years of doing AWS as a partner, and now last 5 years as an AWS Amazonian employee. And the Migration Acceleration Program is our most lucrative program from a funding perspective. And it's a lot more than just a funding program. It's a whole set of mechanisms that are built in a three-phased approach
Okay.
to accelerate migrations, but also incentivize customers to look at specific workloads that they want to move to the cloud. And there are incentives for partners as well in regards to bundling AWS services along with awesome partner services and solutions together. It works really well in kind of marrying the two up.
I'm glad you talked about Accelerator as well. It absolutely is Accelerator for those customers that are looking to migrate data centers or on-premise applications. It's the perfect platform to incentivize them to move it sooner, modernize, and migrate. It is one of the best programs that we love, and it's the foundation for Rackspace as well.
Yeah. So, Sunny, I was talking to well, I was at a conference a couple 3 years. It was 3 years ago. It was one of your competitors. They'll leave them nameless for the moment, but they had labeled 2020 as the year of migration. And I thought, well, that's an interesting thing to get kind of wrapped up around. And then 2021 became the year of migration, and then here we are in 2022, and we're still talking in this case MAP. And I think it is it's a point I think we should really have a discussion around, because this thought about migration, think of it maybe more in the terms of transformation, is a multi-step process. There's that first move into the cloud, but there's also lots more to migrate going forward. For instance, Chris, you were a big part of helping us set up here at Rackspace our MAP Center of Excellence, and that really, how do we get people into AWS through the power of and the skills of what Rackers bring to the table. But now you're talking about MAP Factory. Now tell me a little bit more about that.
MAP Factory is what we're looking at this year. So you're absolutely right, Jeff. We started doing MAP at Rackspace actually 4 years ago.
Okay.
In 2020, to your point, that's when it really caught fire in a really good way. And it went from dozens of customers to hundreds of customers since 2020. And we basically established a MAP Center of Excellence led by Mr. Norwood right here next to me. It's creating a culture of learning. And Rackspace supports multiple clouds, and they're very good at it. Cloud agnostic, but opinionated about AWS. And so the Center of Excellence creates a culture of learning. It's a full operations team, a deal desk, which Chris will get into, but it centralizes the whole company. And we've kind of built that out the last couple of years. In 2022, we are looking at MAP Factory, where we take best practices from the Center of Excellence and make it a standardized operating procedure to look at hundreds of MAP wins per year. And this year, our MAP Factory, we're going to take a look at a large focus on AWS databases, data services, and database modernization.
Okay. I'm glad you brought up the Migration Center of Excellence. We're quite proud of that. And Jeff, there are customers who want a proven partner who's done many hundreds of different migrations, who have the expertise, our Annika folks, on the funding aspect of it, and more important, the governance. But they want a successful migration from there. And then also, Sunny talked about migration and database migration. For us, that is a big bet for us. Yeah. So if we can basically work on any sort of database migration or modernization, that's the value for the customer now and in the future.
Yeah. So, when we think about cloud and we think about its lifespan, Rackspace being involved, we made that big debut in 2015 at the reInvent conference. We're pretty proud of that. We're pretty proud of the fact that Rackers we went from back in 2015, Sunny, you were part of this. We went from nobody certified in AWS at that point in 2015 to more certified engineers and architects at Rackspace at that point that even AWS had. Granted, maybe didn't necessarily need to certify themselves, but still, it's a good metric. But Rackspace decided a few years ago to double down on this relationship with AWS. And we went out and bought a little company here in North America called Anika. I say a little company, of course, because they are, they were purely, very much the largest pure play AWS partner in North America. So we were so excited to bring them in, but they've been doing this for 10 years now. So our heritage and our experience and our capabilities, not just around migration, but transformation and management of these workloads, goes back all the way back into the 2012 timeline. And that is really, I mean, that's at the beginning, very beginning of this whole cloud revolution. And you see up on the screen, guys, you're already pretty excited. I can tell you want to get signed up. You want to come figure out how Rackspace can help you transform. That's how you do it. We kept that website, Anika, up alive and well because they are so good at what they do. And it's a heritage we are so proud of. But Sunny, I'm going to ask you a question here. Here we are with AWS in the room and with a partner in the room. Why does AWS lean so hard on partners to pair them up with customers? And why are partners so important in the ecosystem?
Yes, great question, Jeff. I think partners in general for AWS, it helps us scale, evangelize our solutions, helps us enable our solutions. We're very much a product company, and we need partners to help us get into customers, so make introductions. But more than that, enable a lot of our services with partner solutions.
Hmm.
And so you take a look at Anika, for example. Anika is very good at discussing the art of the possible with the customer.
Yeah.
Anika's identity today and going back many, many years, and when Rackspace acquired them in 2020, is the number one application modernization partner. Now, what
Wow.
does that mean? Application modernization from an AWS lens is the whole world of containers. So
Hmm.
Amazon ECS, Elastic Container Services, Amazon EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Service. You look at services like Fargate, which automate basically the management of your container clusters. And then, of course, serverless, where you're not necessarily migrating an app, but you're rewriting that application all on Lambda, our serverless infrastructure. And then finally, our biggest focus this year, right? Open source databases, databases such as Amazon Aurora, and then Amazon DynamoDB. And what Anika was really good at, and still is to this day, is talking about the art of the possible in regards to innovation. A
Yeah.
lot of people think that you move to cloud to save money for cost. And that is absolutely a byproduct, Jeff. But
Yeah.
ultimately, you're moving to cloud for innovation. And once you leverage application modernization, you can now link yourself to additional cloud native capabilities of Anika, capabilities such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, cloud native security,
Yeah.
Internet of Things, and the list goes on and on.
Yeah, well, when I think about that cloud transformation, I mean, I like to put it into three buckets. The buckets of infrastructure transformation, which is a great thing to do. Let's get on some modern infrastructure in AWS. Second would be, now let's transform the apps. Let's app modernization and transformation. And then lastly, I just call it innovation. Now that you're there, let's play what if. Let's run an artificial intelligence or machine learning program. Let's figure out some new things in data analytics. Let's analyze that buyer's journey better than we could ever have done because we've made that transformation. Now, Chris, we've got some pretty flagship customers who we've helped through this process. And one that you took to stage at reInvent was a little airline we like to call Southwest Airlines. Let's talk a little bit about them and the things that we were able to do to them. Ultimately, originally starting with some of those transformation capabilities available through this program.
Absolutely, Jeff. And they're wonderful airlines. And I'll just also just talk about just quickly the Anika brand when we
Yeah.
acquired them, and that they were a pure player for AWS. And there's a trust factor when we're working with the AWS field. If it's Greenfield, if it's SMB, if it's enterprise from there, that trust factor works. Now, you talked about Southwest Airlines from there. We started with them years ago. They were on reInvent. They are a wonderful customer of ours, but they started off with a MAP opportunity. And that
Hmm.
MAP opportunity grew when they wanted to do some modernization from there. And from there, they wanted to leverage IoT, small incremental growing. And then there's a trust factor going back to having that Anika, and then Rackspace from there. and that transformational with Southwest Airlines. That is the best thing about MAP. That is the wonderful process of the relationship we have with AWS on that platform, driving that innovation from there. So when they showcase that reInvent, this is a customer we took from MAP at that first time to transformational from there.
Right. And transformational meaning, literally, folks, defined as Southwest airline plane doesn't take off without touching some AWS infrastructure and touching an awful lot of that infrastructure. And what's really cool, if you knew the infrastructure, if you go back and watch their presentation, so much of it is named after the whole, it's landing zones. It's all that kind of cool stuff. I mean, they've done some really, really neat naming nomenclature in there. So Sunny, question for you. I am leading the witness right now. Who was the MAP Partner of the Year for North America, Canada, and Colombia this year? Just got to ask.
You guys won it at reInvent and won it running away. Hundreds and hundreds of MAP wins. And so number one, Migration Acceleration Partner of the Year. That's actually Migration Partner of the Year. Migration Acceleration Partner program is obviously MAP, the program, right?
Yeah.
But it was for the US, for Canada, and Colombia. And I think Chris Norwood and the Anika Rackspace team want to continue to have that title ongoing. That's what I'm hearing.
It's a proud title that we want to see every year from there. And I will say, it's a program that AWS has. We're such an honor to have that. And it was hard work, Jeff, to get there. Yeah. And we want to do it and replicate it again.
Well, and isn't it important also to call out the fact that it, Sunny, you guys at AWS aren't just looking at numbers here. How many did they do? All right. Well, what was the satisfaction? How did they help the customer transform continually? Again, that migration is step one of a million steps. Really, it's an infinite number, because that migration to AWS, really to any cloud, is one where you are standing and running your business on infrastructure that, one, never sleeps, two, upgrades itself every time you blink. If you just do a little search, AWS releases, you'll see every single day new capabilities, new things in preview, new things being released, not only on the infrastructure or building on top of previous releases. It is absolutely incredible. So of course we won North America Partner of the Year because we are fantastic at this stuff, but it's not the only award that we bring to the table, because Sunny, you guys are stringent. You're relentless about these advanced certifications in specific areas, and we've gone on to win. We got 16 of these competencies. What are some of the ones that really are impactful?
Yes, I would say your Windows competency is super duper impactful. I think the container competency, because the identity is modernization, that is super impactful. One thing to kind of tie back is Rackspace is really good at the MRA. MRA is a migration readiness assessment. It's a pre-process you have to go through to go ahead and get qualified for MAP. And you talk about, hey, Sunny, it's not just hundreds of wins that wins the title. You go back to legacy Rackspace that I grew up in, and we still have this, the NPS score, going back to Graham Weston or Paul Salisbury. We used to have one question that would go out to customers. I think it still does, which is, on a scale of 1 to 10, would you recommend Rackspace to a friend? Yep. And I think that's what's happening inside of AWS. The quality of migrations, the successful rate of execution of MAP deals. MAP deals are complex. We've been building MAP at Rackspace Anika for almost 4 years of a 7-year partnership. And so we have those mechanisms within AWS to see, okay, can Rackspace transform a customer that is an all Windows shop and wants to go full bore Linux? Yes, they can, and here are the checkboxes. Well, what about if they want to run Windows on AWS? They're a .NET shop, and they're not ready to have all Linux developers. Those folks are going through training. So before you can have application modernization, you need to look at operations modernization first. And maybe you have the office of the CMO as a .NET shop, and maybe the office of the CFO is Linux. And so Rackspace Anika does really well with elastic engineering. It's very, very complementary to MAP. where you are building with the customer, you're ancillary to the customer's team,
Yep.
and you're not a reactive break fix like many competitors may have. It's proactive and it's focused on innovation, which is very, very complementary to the Migration
And you
Acceleration
know what?
Program.
I'm glad you brought up the Windows real fast, Jeff, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of customers like, I have this Windows infrastructure. What am I going to do? Reach out to us. Let us run like an OLA. Let us do a workshop, because then we can come in and modernize those Windows infrastructure. And then you talk about something that's near and dear to me, Elastic Engineering.
Yeah.
I absolutely love this offering, because think of a proactive, almost a flexible offering where we can actually pivot from optimization to where we can do work on backlog. It's important because it's flexible. And
Right.
that elastic engineering can be from data services or security. And that works within there and includes tying our professional services. MAP is a cornerstone of our professional services. And our leader, Peters, does a wonderful job out there. So for us, it is services first with elastic engineering, professional services as MAP as the foundation, Jeff.
That's right. So, in my experience, and I've been working in this market for since 2008, the scariest part of beginning a move like this is that fear of the unknown, because there is so much that's unknown. It's not just like making a, hey, Windows upgrade, or hey, it's time to upgrade VMware. And we do these every couple of 3 or 4 years, and there's painful, but then we move on. You move into the cloud and it's a whole new, first, there's a lot that feels like it's unknown. And that whole thing I just bragged about, it's continuing to update. Well, what do we do with that? So many businesses have this fear of that unknown. Now, this is one of the things I think Rackspace brings to the table that really not many other companies can hold a candle to. And that is, Chris, I'll ask you, how many companies have we led through this process? And know that with this answer, we have a bevy of experience from it and defined ways and systematic ways to take companies through it. So, Chris, customer base, how many have we led through?
Over 2,000, and I'll say it's a great question, because those customers are like, what are you going to do? How do you start? It's the first phase, which is assessed, where we can help you build that business case
Yeah.
on your journey to AWS, what you would like to do. But Jeff, it's a good question. This is something we've done over and over and over. That's why we have the expertise. That's why we have the Map Factory. That's why we have the Migration Center of Excellence that dovetails both our Elastic Engineering and professional services.
Yeah. So, and of course, then we have to talk about, we've won the awards, we've got certifications, we've got these advanced, competencies. But how many professionals? I mean, this is part of a press release that came out, and I think it's important to call out, because the amount of folks that we have dedicated, larger than most of our competitors.
100%. You have more certified professionals than many, many other partners,
Combined.
much larger than you. So 1,000 plus rackers are focused on AWS, that are certified AWS professionals.
Yeah.
The other thing that's really important for both Rackspace and AWS, Rackspace's number one core value is fanatical support. We're fanatical about the customer. AWS, our number one leadership principle is customer obsession, right? And so when you talk about fanatical support and customer obsession, essentially the same ethos, 81 publicly referenceable customer case studies and win wires. The
Incredible.
bulk of them talking about migration as a bridge to certain innovative technologies like AI/ML and IoT and cloud native security and the like, data
Yeah.
analytics, for example. But pretty much all of them leveraging Anika Rackspace's DNA of application modernization, reusable code pipelines for migration. So all options are offered, whether it's lift and shift migration, whether it's a slight bit of refactoring code. The container reusable code pipelines are absolutely offered, and that's kind of our ethos, and that's how we're able to leverage like Amazon EKS, for example, where you can take 18 months of operating standard EC2 servers and compress that in to 4 minutes, leveraging our Kubernetes platform, right? And then, of course, finally, rewriting maybe a legacy mainframe app, just rewriting it all on Lambda, right? Taking migration timelines that are years and compressing it into days, maximum weeks.
Yep. Hey, Sunny, quick question. Mohammed's asking us how to learn more about just the technology stuff for those that are admins. And the web address escapes me at the moment, but you guys have basically given it all away. And those courses show up just like something would show up in Amazon.com. But do you know the address off the top of your head?
Yes. If you want to get certified for AWS, one of our top partners is A Cloud Guru.
I love them.
And they have all the certifications there. It's on demand, very affordable. I believe last I checked, $39.99. My wife is actually doing her 4th certification exam.
That's
She'd
awesome.
never previously worked at IT before, but you can always go to the APN, which stands for the AWS Partner Network. If you go to search on the internet and type in AWS certifications, AWS Partner Network, you're going to not only have a Cloud Guru, but you're going to have multiple links off of our AWS Partner Network site to guide you.
Yeah, that A Cloud Guru is fantastic. Chris, we're running out of time. How do folks get a hold of us here at Rackspace to begin their journey or for us to join them in a journey that they already have started?
Great, Jeff. Good question. It's going to be Annika at sales, but one thing I did want to highlight is the partnership with AWS and working with the MAP specialists, the BDs, the database specialists, the Windows specialists. All these teams we work really well with to drive value to both of our customers out there. So we'll definitely follow up with that Annika at sales.com, but we are excited to work with you and we appreciate the time today, Jeff.
Absolutely. So let's bring that link back up. If somebody wants to just go get some more information, they can head over to, I believe it was Annika.com/ come on, producer Daniel. In our last few seconds here, there it comes, Amazon Web Services /offers. You can learn everything you need to know there. You can click into information. You can click to contact us as well. And of course, phone numbers. You can always call somebody. Hey, follow Chris Norwood over on LinkedIn. Follow Sunny Ahmed. These guys are anxious to have these conversations. Have you heard a little passion here today? Have you heard some excitement? That's how we feel about being able to be a part of this type of transformation with our great partner AWS and go down this journey together. So everyone, thank you so much for being a part of today's program. And we're at the top of the hour. I know you've got meetings to go to. You've got things to do. But thanks for spending the last few minutes with us. And get you some MAP.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, everyone.